This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Good evening, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2 the Artivist, and welcome to another wonderful edutainment edition of the Artivist Presents. And family, I want to talk about tonight. I'm glad y'all receiving the videos, y'all getting the messages, inbox getting flooded, text messages. I'm receiving all the love to start off this wonderful 2017. Remember? 2017 is the year of the risk taker. So take advantage. Once again, 2017 is the year of the risk taker. So take advantage. And I want to talk about, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. A lot of people are living life in fear. And to quote what Brother President, not brother like black, but fellow Mr. President FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, once said it in an inauguration address: there is nothing to fear but fear itself. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. So remember, black people, fear is a sin. Fear is a sin as far as I'm concerned. But I want to talk about today the chaos, the confusion, the controversy over Donald Trump. Donald Trump. President-elect Donald Trump. This is going to be great. That guy, his pick for U.S. Attorney General, Mr. U.S. Senator from Alabama with a banjo on his knee, Jeff Sessions. Now, a lot of black folks are upset. A lot of other people are upset by the selection of Jeff Sessions or the selection by President-elect Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions, to occupy the U.S. Attorney General seat, the highest law officer in all the land, which is currently occupied by Loretta Lynch, the first African-American woman U.S. Attorney General, and was previously occupied by Eric Holder, another black person, a person of color. So I want to say this, in my opinion, give Jeff Sessions a chance. Give him his day in court, as you will. He already been in the court of public opinion, but give him his day. He might quite possibly be one of our better U.S. Attorney Generals. Quite possibly, Jeff Sessions, yes right, boys and girls, scholars and laymen, could turn out to be one of our best U.S. Attorney Generals. Probably the greatest of all time. And you say, Ron, are you full of what? What's wrong with you, Ron? Brother Ron, what the hell wrong with you? But think about this. When I read about Jeff Sessions and the perception of him of being somebody that's anti-civil rights, anti-black folks, anti-minority, homophobic and all that stuff, I'm thinking about another senator from Alabama with a banjo on his knee or a Klansman hood on his head. I'm thinking about Hugo Black. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Hugo Black, but Hugo Black was a U.S. Senator from Alabama back in the 20s and 30s. He was appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court by Franklin Delano Roosevelt back in 1937. Come to find out, there was a big controversy that brewed. Some reporters did some digging, and found out that Hugo Black was once a prominent Ku Klux Klansman in Alabama. That's right, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. Senator Hugo Black, black his last name, how ironic, was a Klansman. Not only was he a Klansman, but he was a very well-known and respected Klansman, in the state of Alabama. Matter of fact, he was known as a member of one of the Gold Dust Twins. He was one of the Gold Dust Twins, along with Governor David Bibbs Graves. David Bibbs Graves And Hugo Black was the Gold Dust Twins. They was the cream of la cream of the KKK in Alabama back in the 1920s. You gotta understand, the Ku Klux Klan was very big back in the 1920s. The rebirth of the Klan took place back in 1915 down in Stone Mountain, Georgia, after the movie Birth of a Nation. You know, not the Nat Turner one, but the original OG one, which actually gave rise to the rebirth of the Klan. Then it reached its apex, its height. The Klan had over 4 million members back in the 1920s. Once again, boys and girls, scholars and laymen, the Klan had over 4 million members back in the 1920s. The biggest Klan state is the home state of our current Vice President-elect Mike Pence, Indiana. Indiana was the biggest Klan state in the entire union back in the 1920s. You had the governor, mayors, senators. It's like every political person involved in Indiana politics on the local, state, and national level were Klansmen. It seems like it, you know. I can't make this stuff up, folks. The Klan even had a march on Washington in full regalia, in full bed sheets, including pillowcases on top of their head. So I can't make this stuff up. Take a look. It's all online or in a book if you can read. A.L.L. Okay. But anyway, it's like Hugo Black, he was a Klans person. So it was a lot of controversy. Like FDR was asked by the press, Mr. President, did you know that this guy was a Klansman? And should we be investigating people who might be Klansmen in federal government offices? And FDR said, well, a man is entitled to his private life. He wouldn't make it in social media reality today. FDR would have never been president if it was social media around. I can guarantee that. You know, so it's interesting. So he said that, and I think, you know, Hugo Black is interesting. Why I say this, let me give you a little background about Hugo Black. He was a lawyer, a very successful lawyer in Alabama. He actually had a case where he defended a black man who was wrongfully incarcerated and was exploited by capital interests, like, you know, slavery by another name, the new Jim Crow. He actually defended a black man who was locked up illegally and was being exploited by commercial interests, by capitalists, by multinational corporations. So he got on the radar of the Alabama white power structure. And also at one point he was a police court judge. That's the only experience he had as a judge before he became a Supreme Court justice. And also he prominently or infamously, depending on your perspective, defended a guy known as E.R. Stevenson. E.R. Stevenson was a well-known Klansman and also a Methodist minister and barber. E.R. Stevenson was a well-known Methodist minister, Klansman, and barber who killed the man who married his daughter Ruth to Pedro Guzman, a Puerto Rican and Catholic. See, the Klan was very anti-Catholic back in the 20s. You know, they were very against the Catholics and stuff like that. So Father James Coyle, not only did he marry E.R. Stevenson's daughter to this Puerto Rican guy, or Puerto Rican guy who was a Catholic, but she actually converted to Catholicism. And it really pissed him off. So he actually shot James Coyle, Father James Coyle, at the church. Shot him in the head. And Hugo Black defended E.R. Stevenson and got him off on reason of, I guess, temporary insanity or something like that. Temporary insanity. Some shit like that. Some stuff like that, excuse me. He got him off. So he definitely gained traction. He was able to get a fellow Klansman off of killing a man of God in cold blood. You know, the killing took place on August 11, 1921. So this interest, y'all look at all this history. Like I'm saying, well, how do you know all this stuff? I read and I study and I read, I research, you know? So giving you that backdrop to Hugo Black, he preferred to talk to the American people directly about his involvement in the KKK. So instead of him holding a press conference, he actually did a radio show. And this is something of what he said. I'm going to read a little bit of what he said on the radio show. I think it's very important. And all this is online, okay? All this is online. He said on the radio show, a statement on the radio show, I number among my friends many members of the color race. Certainly they are entitled to a full measure of protection accorded by our Constitution and our laws. Black also said, I did join the Klan. I later resigned. I never rejoined. Before becoming a senator, I dropped the Klan. I had nothing to do with it since that time. I abandoned it. I completely discontinued any association with the organization. I have never resumed it and never expect to do so. And according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, who actually broke the story about his involvement with the Klan, 50 million listeners heard the unprecedented speech. 50 million people, because radio was king back then. So he was able to reach 50 million people with that message. Now keep in mind also, Donald Trump, his father, was allegedly a Klansman in Queens, New York. This is back in the 1920s when I said the Klan was 4 million strong across the land. So Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, was supposedly in the Klan. The reason why we know this is because of a story that came out in the New York Times back in the 20s, which you can find online, that named a Fred Trump of Queens who got into a fight with NYPD. So the NYPD was taking on the Klan back in 1920s New York. And Fred Trump's name was mentioned prominently in that article. Fred Trump from Queens. Isn't Donald Trump from Queens? Pick up the pieces and put them together. Okay, pick up the pieces and put them together. So also, Governor Bibbs, like I mentioned, the Gold Dust twins. Governor Bibbs and also Hugo Black. Governor Bibbs was also an opportunist like Hugo Black. Matter of fact, it was interesting. Governor Bibbs appointed his wife to complete Hugo Black's term once he was appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The couple months that still was in his Senate term. And by the way, Dixie Bibbs was Governor Bibbs' first cousin. So they had to change last names. Interesting, ain't it? Kind of like, you know, FDR was married to his fifth cousin, Eleanor Roosevelt. So you have to worry about changing last name. See how that works? I'm connecting all the dots. Connect the dots. La la la. Connect the dots. You see what I'm saying? See why it's so important to study this stuff? It's all about the bloodlines, y'all. I know it was the blood. Okay, getting back to Hugo Black. Now, what's interesting about Hugo Black is, quite honestly, he became one of the best U.S. Supreme Court justices of all time. One of the most progressive and liberal. He actually was a stand-up guy when it came to civil rights and other things as well. Because he was on the court from 1937 to 1971, and then several days after he retired from the Supreme Court, he died. So he was on the Supreme Court from 1937 to 1971. I think it was the 5th longest tenure of any justice in history of the United States Supreme Court. And for the most part, he voted for Brown v. Board and all the civil rights cases that were very prominent of his time while he was on the court. So really, he was very much a surprise. So it's kind of hard to judge what a person would do once they get to where they want to go. Especially politicians. They're like chameleons. They change their color. Politicians are not beholden to any type of real ideology. For example, George Wallace, another Alabama with a banjo on his knee, before he became the George Wallace of white hate or white rage or whatever, he was more of a moderate politician. He wanted a coalition of black and white voters to put him in office, but he saw how it was going with the Dixie crap movement, so he hopped on the train. Same thing with Governor Faubus. When the Little Rock Nine tried to integrate Central High School, he was more of an opportunist. Most of these politicians are not necessarily like ideologues, or they trying to get in where they fit in. They try to find out which way the wind is blowing and go with the wind instead of going against the grain. That's the nature of a politician. So really, it's in their nature. I mean, really, it is in their nature to change their stripes or polka dots or whatever when it fits them in order to get into office or to retain their office. So understand how that game is going. So once again, it's going to be interesting if Jeff Sessions is confirmed by his fellow senators, he got a lot to prove in terms of, I'm not a racist. I love Niggers. Niggers are my best friends. I love all people. I don't discriminate against nobody. There's no prejudice bone in my body. Ain't none whatsoever. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. So it might be a good thing they have him in office because he got a lot to prove. And who knows? This is the era of the Trump guys. 2017 is the year of the risk taker. So take advantage. So look all that up, family. It's very important, you know, to think about these type of things as we go forward into the future. If you like what you heard, please feel free to spread the word. Once again, if you like what you heard, feel free to spread the word about Brother Heard. Donate to the cause if you can, because we need an alt-black media in this age of the Trump guys. It's not the zeitgeist, it's the Trump guys, baby. Actually, I feel like a bootlegger on the eve of prohibition. So much opportunity, so much opportunity, and I'm so sincere. I'm so sincere. Okay, peep it out, family, and know that the best is yet to come. We love you madly. In the words of the great Duke Ellington, keep on producing and pushing.